This is the game played between Bobby Fischer and Paul Keres of USSR. Paul Keres, a champion from USSR, 3 times USSR champion. He was born on 7th June 1916 and died on 5th June 1975. Won many championship matches between 1935 and 1965. Played a World Championship Candidates Tournament 1948 to 1965. Alexander Alexandrovich Alenkline, the 4th world champion, said to wrest a point from Paul Keres, you have to beat him 3 times. One in the beginning, one in the middle game, one in the end game. And viewers can understand that how difficult it is beat Paul Keres from this. And this is the first time Fischer ever beat a Russian grandmaster, that too also at the age of 16. Fischer is playing white, Keres is playing black. The opening is real pass, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, Fischer castles, bishop e7, rook e1, b5, bishop b3, Keres castles, c3, d6, h3, knight a5, bishop c2, c5, d4, queen e7, knight b d2, c into d4, c into d4, bishop b7, knight f1, rook a c8, bishop d3, knight c6, knight e3, rook f e8. Black already has difficulties. Instead of rook f e8, knight into d4, knight into d4, e into d4, knight f5, rook f e8, bishop g5 is very strong. Instead of rook f e8, not knight b4, bishop b1, bishop into e4, bishop into e4, knight into e4, a3, knight c6, knight d5, etc. Rook f e8, knight f5, superficial plan. Correct is d5. Let us see. If knight b8, a4. If knight b8, a4 is strong. After d5, if knight b4, bishop b1, a5, queen e2, knight d7, or queen b6, knight f5. Instead of queen e2, let us go back and see. Bishop d2, knight a6, b4, followed by bishop d3 with a bind. Let us go back and see what happens in the game. After rook f d8, knight f5 is played. This is what Fischer called as a superficial idea. Bishop f8, bishop g5, knight d7, rook c1, queen b8, to get out of the pin. Bishop b1, knight into d4. After knight into d4, third flank into d4 is played. Rook into c1, overlooking white's follow up. Let us see what happens. After e into d4, rook into c8, queen into c8, queen into d4. White has nothing precisely, but what is played is rook into c1, bishop into c1, e into d4, knight h6 check. Keres expected queen into d4. Let us see. Queen into d4, knight c5 is dead equal. Let us go back and see. After knight h6 check, g into h6 is played. Queen g4 check, king h8, queen into d7, regaining the piece. Black's extra pawn is meaningless in view of the mangled pawn formation. Bishop d5, you cannot play pawn into bishop because of the pin. Queen f5, rook e5, queen f3, f5, aggressive defense. Bishop f4, rook goes back, rook e8, queen h5, bishop into e4, f3, bishop c5, rook c1, not rook into e8. Let us see what happens. Rook into e8, bishop into e8, queen into f5, bishop g6 wins. Let us go back. After rook c1, bishop d7, bishop into h6. This is a difficult choice. Alternative was, let us see, bishop into f5, bishop into f5, queen into f5, with the possibility of probing black's sick pawns. Let us go back. Bishop into h6 is played. Rook e6, bishop into f8. On bishop f4, queen e8 is tenable. Bishop into f8 is played in the actual game. Queen into f8, queen h4. Queen h4 is a excellent move. This move forces black to an ending where his weak pawns cannot concealed by technical tactics. Queen f6, queen into f6, rook into f6, king f2. This is a weak move. This gives time for black to bring his king towards the center. Fischer admits that he has underestimated the strength of this move, that is rook c7. But after king f2, king g7 is played by Keres. This is what Fischer was mentioning. Now he plays rook c7. Rook f7, king e2, king e2, f4. Keres was under high time pressure. Rook a7, king f6, rook into a6, rook e7 check, king f2, not king d2, not king d2, king d2 is refuted by rook g7. So Fischer played king f2, bishop e6, rook into d6, sacrificing the second pawn in order to get counterplay along the c5, king e5, rook c6, 5, rook h6, rook c7, rook h5 check, king d6, rook h6 check, king e5, rook h5 check, king d6, rook f5. Rook f5 is a mistake. After rook f5, rook c1, bishop d3, rook d1, king e2, rook g1, king f2, rook d1, king e2, rook g1, rook g5, bishop into a2, bishop into b5, rook b1, king d3, h6. Fischer says this is a mistake. Instead, let us see. Instead, rook into b2, king into d4, bishop b1, supporting h2 pawn should draw. Let us go back and see. But Keres played h6, rook h5, rook into b2, king into d4, rook into g2, rook into h6 check. Here is the second adjournment of this game. Now white has two technical obstacles. One is he cannot exchange bishops. The ending where he is 2 pawn ahead remains a theoretical draw with the rooks on the board. He cannot exchange rooks so long as king f3 is possible. The ending, even with the 2 extra pawns, is still a draw with the bishops on the board. Rook into h6 is played. After that, king e7, king e4, rook g5, bishop a6, bishop f7. Fischer calls it as a fatal mistake. Bishop c8, rook g6 is played. Rook g6, rook h7, king f8, bishop g4, rook g7, rook h6, rook g6, rook into g6, bishop into rook check, king into f4, king g7, king g5. King g5 is an excellent move. Bishop d3, f4, bishop e4, h4, bishop d5, h5, bishop e4, h6 check, king h8, on king f7. Let us see. On king f7, bishop h5 check, king g8, bishop g6 makes the progress. Let us go and see. King h8 is played. After king h6, after h6 check, king h8 is played. Bishop f5, bishop d5, bishop g6, bishop e6, king f6, bishop c4, king g5, bishop e6, bishop rook 5. Black is on the right track. King h7, bishop g4, bishop c4. If bishop into g4, we will see. We will go back and see. Bishop into c4, king into g4, king into h6, king f5, and wins. Let us go back. Bishop d5 is played. f5. Finally, the f1 is free to move. Bishop f7, bishop h5, bishop c4, bishop g6 check, king g8, f6. After f6, black resigns. A tough game for Bobby Fischer. If you like this game, please subscribe and share. If you want to see many more beautiful games of Bobby Fischer, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time.